Has it ever crossed your mind that a gigantic sea could just about vanish into thin air in a matter of a couple of decades? This is not some made-up fantasy, but the real and incredibly depressing story of the Aral water body. Today we are going to chat about how Kazakhstan is putting in the sweat to bring life back to this place, and the mind-blowing amount of work it takes to make it happen. Do not forget to hit that subscribe button on our channel so you can follow this amazing story of saving nature. Back in the middle of the last century, the Aral was actually considered the fourth biggest lake in the entire world. A massive amount of all kinds of fish splashed around in its depths. Large ships sailed all over its water surface, and well-off fishing villages were dotted all around. The folks around here always loved their awesome catches, and totally did not see the coming disaster. Two powerhouse water arteries, the Amu Darya and the Sir Darya, breathed life into this endless sea. For hundreds of years, these deep, rushing streams brought fresh water right to it, helping keep the unique balance of the environment in check. Thanks to some seriously great weather, the hometown farmers could pull in fantastic harvests every single season. But once the 1960s rolled around, massive and totally destructive changes kicked into high gear. To get as much cash crop cotton and other important plants as they possibly could, people started pulling insane amounts of water right out of both rivers. Tons of irrigation ditches funneled that priceless moisture straight into the bone-dry sands. Year after year, the amount of water shrank faster and way more ruthlessly. The seashores backed up for huge distances, leaving nothing behind but a bottom covered in sharp salt, rapidly turning into a totally dead wasteland. What used to be bumping port towns suddenly found themselves cut off from the saving water by dozens of miles of dry dirt. This kind of natural disaster hit the environment hard, but it also took a massive swing at the everyday health of the local people. Toxic dust and all kinds of dangerous chemicals that had piled up for years out on the exposed bottom started flying up into the air and blowing for hundreds of miles away from the old shoreline. Frequent salt storms turned into pure agony for every single person living in those parts. Along with the dust came brutal lung sicknesses and plenty of other dangerous health problems for people. All of this sparked a massive spike in chronic illnesses and a huge nosedive in the standard of living all across this huge stretch of land. The once gorgeous plant and animal life of the Aral region also took a totally devastating hit. The commercial fish that had just recently been swimming through these spots in huge schools started dying off by the millions because of the insane amount of salt. Super fast, the lake became unbearably salty and completely unlivable for any kind of freshwater creatures. Huge flocks of migratory birds, the ones who had chilled on these cozy shores for hundreds of years during long flights, lost their food supply and a safe place to hide out. The thick reed patches that used to be impossible to walk through burned up under the sun, and the home turf for a ton of animals turned straight to dust. The environment had to pay a monstrous price for human progress. Working folks were also left high and dry without their only way to make a buck. Entire fishing crews lost their jobs because there was absolutely zero fish left in those salty puddles. Massive ships got stranded out in the loose dunes, looking just like dead whales washed up on the beach. Families started bailing out of their dying hometowns one by one. Once they finally wrapped their heads around the terrifying size of the disaster, the neighbouring states tried their hardest to find at least some kind of real fix for this nightmare. But for years, all those attempts just felt totally pointless, since dumping back that much missing water turned out to be a flat-out impossible job. The situation looked completely hopeless, and most of the big-name scientists had already kissed the idea of reviving the sea goodbye. But the leadership of Kazakhstan decided they were not giving up without a fight, and boldly took the lead on saving this one-of-a-kind body of water. That is when they kicked off a seriously complex regional recovery project. The authorities in Kazakhstan knew for a fact that bringing the whole massive basin back to life right now was completely off the table. The southern half of the old lake had turned into a permanent desert. Because of that, the experts pitched a super gutsy plan to hang on to the water in at least its northern half. That exact move ended up being the real game changer for the Aral. To actually pull off an idea like that, they had to build an incredibly strong wall that would chop off the small northern fraction of the lake from the dying south. That was the only way to save the fresh water pouring in from the Sirdarya River channel. The designers immediately got busy drawing up the plans for a rock-solid dam. Way back in the early 90s, they actually took the first swings at throwing a barrier up like this. Because they were seriously strapped for cash and could not afford good materials, the builders just used plain old sand and regular dirt. The crews gave it everything they had, genuinely hoping the new dirt wall could manage to hold on to that valuable moisture. Sadly, all of those early attempts turned into crushing failures. The rough spring floods and brutal storm gusts whipped up giant waves that instantly trashed the weak sandy walls. Time after time, those freshwater streams rushed right down south, instantly drying up into the scorching hot dunes. Even after sitting through a whole string of bitter letdowns with the temporary dams, the locals never let go of their hope. It became totally obvious that to actually hit their goal, they had to build a maximally reliable and hardcore structure. A project like that required some massive funding and forced them to get backup from the absolute best environmental experts in the world. As the 2000s rolled in, the Republic managed to secure some massive financial help from the international banking world. The funds they had been waiting for finally showed up, so they could build something that was not just another fragile dirt pile, but a true, rock-solid engineering marvel. That is exactly how the epic construction of the modern Kokaral Dam got started. The tough new barrier was designed for the forever job of keeping the northern water bowl totally separated from the lifeless southern wastelands. The actual building process turned out to be a crazy amount of hard work. Hundreds of seasoned pros worked around the clock on the job site, putting a whole fleet of the newest and most powerful machines to the test. The core idea of this whole strategy was putting away all the available water into a relatively modest section of what used to be an endless lake. An approach like that gave them a real shot to slowly but surely drop the toxic salt levels, making the whole environment safe for fish breeding again, and bringing back a decent standard of living for the people. The massive building phase on the project successfully hit its finish line in the fall of 2005. This fresh new structure was made out of super tough concrete alloys and came fully loaded with awesome locks to keep the water levels in check. A design like that totally wiped out any chance of a washout, even when the fiercest storms hit. The final results absolutely demolished all the best case scenarios predicted by the pros and regular folks alike. In just the first few kickoff months, the volume of water over in the small Aral started climbing fast. Slowly, but super steadily, the body of water claimed back its old historical borders. Right along with the arrival of the saving waters, the brutal climate of the entire region started changing big time. If just a little while ago the wind was constantly blasting towns with harsh, salty sand, now a really nice, fresh and humid ocean breeze started blowing in from the returning lake. The exhausting summer heat mellowed out a ton, and those savage winter freezes were swapped out for much milder, more comfortable weather. Completely worn out by decades of disaster, folks finally took a deep breath, physically feeling all the perks of this long-awaited shift. The environment snapped right out of its long sleep in a hurry. The saving wave crept up so close to the old abandoned ghost towns that folks initially refused to believe their own eyes. The distance from Aral Sea to the waterline shrank from a terrifying 60 miles to an easy 12. For everybody watching this go down, everything that was happening felt like pure magic. Tagging along with the freshwater streams, life itself found its way back to these parts, showing up as a whole bunch of different fish. At first, the species that were used to high salt, like flounder, started timidly taking over the water. It was that flounder that literally became a lifeline for the broke fishermen, right at the start of the long-awaited comeback of the lake's power. Later on, thanks to the non-stop freshening up of all that water, native freshwater fish rushed back in too. Fishing nets started filling up with big carp, prime walleye, and impossibly fat bream all over again. The haul started regularly bringing joy back to families, steadily shooting up with every single new fishing season. The coastal plants and animals also started getting back to their old normal state, showing a whole lot of energy. Flocks of migratory birds, including awesome pelicans and incredibly graceful flamingos, joyfully started flying back to the fresh green shores of the bay. A comeback like that was direct proof of a solid recovery of the whole local ecosystem. Dense stretches of reeds which had vanished without a trace years ago turned green with fresh energy all along the coast. They acted as a great hideout for a ton of birds and all sorts of wild animals. The swampy areas really started popping back up to life, steadily fixing the whole ecological vibe of the entire land. Bringing full-blown commercial fishing back turned into a massive party for the entire local crowd. Dozens of families who were forced to ditch these towns to chase a paycheck started slowly drifting back to their old hometowns. The day-to-day life of regular fishing villages filled up with bright hope and real happiness all over again. Fish processing factories that had been shut down for years fired back up, dishing out thousands of fresh jobs for locals of all ages. The economic vibe of the coastal zone started picking up steam super fast. Finished fish products started getting shipped out very successfully for export over to neighbouring countries. Still, the leadership of the country absolutely does not plan on just calling it a day with these awesome numbers. In the very near future, they are planning on launching the second, super-critical phase of saving the water body. This insanely gutsy move is shaping up to be an even tougher and truly massive job. The fresh game plan involves a major bump up in the height of the whole protective Kokaral wall structure. By tacking on a few extra yards to the dam, they will guarantee they can lock down even more fresh water. Someday soon, this will give the shorelines a chance to pull right up to the city of Aral Sea. On top of that, a massive deep dive overhaul of outdated irrigation systems is right there on the schedule. Today, giant amounts of water just soak straight into the dirt because of cracked concrete sitting at the bottom of them. Catching it in time and doing top-tier repairs on the ditches will go a long way in cutting off these massive leaks. From here on out, every single drop of precious moisture is under special lock and key by the government. The main goal is to push the river flow as much as possible straight into the recovering water zone. To make that happen, veteran farming experts are bringing in cutting-edge crop watering setups, letting them save some serious water. A hugely important piece of future wins is going to be setting up the perfect breeding grounds for premium fish. State-of-the-art fish breeding setups are already going up. The pros there are going to put plenty of love into raising up tiny baby fish, getting them ready to be let go by the millions out into the big water. Steps like that are for sure going to make the healing process for the super fragile ecosystem of the recovering lake way faster and way more effective. Not only that, but the future hauls of caught fish are going to get even bigger and richer, dropping some huge financial support onto all the hard workers in this area. A major spotlight is also being put on a massive sweeping greening project on the totally exposed bottom of the lost southern half of the lake. Over on the dirt, where the water surface is definitely never making a comeback, hard-working folks are planting an insanely tough bush called saxaul, along with a bunch of other hardcore desert plants. The powerhouse root system of the saxaul bush locks down the toxic dirt and salt dust, totally blocking cruel storm winds from blowing them for miles deeper into the country. Just a single fully grown saxaul bush with its long roots has what it takes to pin down up to 4 tons of loose sand right to the spot. Planting little young saplings dead out on the extinct seafloor is a brutally tough and completely exhausting mission. During the summer, crazy heat takes over out there, and during snowy winters, killer cold winds rip right through. Still, folks with some incredible guts keep putting in the work under those Spartan conditions. Right up to this point, they have already stuck many millions of tiny saxaul sprouts straight into the dirt. Year after year, this man-made protective forest belt just gets bigger and thicker. That kind of back-breaking daily grind does a fantastic job of guarding the well-being and health of hundreds of thousands of everyday citizens. The gutsy moves by the Kazakh government constantly grab the close attention of the entire respected science world. Big-name researchers from some of the most faraway countries frequently fly out here just to take a personal look at the priceless hands-on experience of bringing a ruined natural environment back from the dead. The massive wins that they racked up in this territory pump some solid faith into a whole lot of other dry spots around our planet. Hands-on practice like this puts it out there clear as day that even the most complicated environmental disasters can be cured, as long as you put in the real work and use new tech the right way. The awesome perks of getting a piece of the sea back became hard to miss for every single local. On top of a super profitable fishing game kicking back into gear, a really cool educational tourism scene is taking off big time out here. Travellers from all over the map are dying to come out and see this jaw-dropping miracle of a comeback for themselves. Out in the remote towns, they're confidently throwing up modern, cosy hotels and mapping out easy routes for guests. Visiting folks are having an absolute blast taking light motorboats out through the quiet bays, tasting the freshest fish around, and soaking in the wild views of massive flocks of birds flying all over the place. At the exact same time, sharp ecologists are giving out strong warnings that throwing a party over an ultimate victory is still way too early. Global climate shakes and the fast melting of mountain glaciers are threatening to put a bad dent in the water levels of local rivers in the very near future. For that huge reason, it is super critical to save water reserves out in the farming business. The farmers are stepping it up and increasingly using the newest drip irrigation tricks. This whole setup feeds life-giving water straight to the root system, practically slicing its empty evaporation under the hot southern sun down to zero. Another epic step towards hitting the big goal turned out to be Kazakhstan keeping a tight partnership rolling with its friendly neighbours. For a full-blown rescue of the Aral Zone, you need absolutely all the countries in this region to stick together, because fast-moving currents do not care about national borders, and they take the ultimate team effort to manage right. Adding to that, top-tier researchers are carefully tossing around fantastic ideas for massive cleaning out of that bitter salt water. If they manage to nail down an affordable way to clean it, there will be an awesome chance to aggressively water all the planted forests around, creating gorgeous green safe spots right in the middle of harsh sand dunes. It is actually super fascinating that the quick return of the big waves had a wildly positive effect on folk culture and the mental state of the whole society. Upbeat songs about the hometown sea slowly found their way back into everyday life, and gifted local artists got fired up painting popping, bright ocean views all over again. During the powerful spring rush every single year, when the river channel heavily fills up, the freshwater reserves in the reservoir really rapidly hit the goal height. During this hypercritical window, sharp engineers crack open the gates of the massive dam to carefully and totally safely let out the built-up extra moisture. Riding right along with the discharge water goes the nasty stacked-up salt, which does an incredibly beautiful job of constantly holding the needed mineral mix steady in the northern bowl. This totally vital natural process looks an awful lot like the deep, steady breathing of a massive, super healthy living thing. Everyday residents, leaning hard on their bitter past couple of decades, finally trained themselves to completely gel with the environment. They quit sitting on the sidelines waiting on a miracle and started organising together into awesome volunteer squads. These dedicated activists painstakingly scrub the shoreline clean of trash and plant fresh, new, helpful sprouts. The sad timeline of this stunning region needs to be proudly and permanently locked in by all modern humanity. A real-life example like this lays it out terrifyingly clear how easily folks can absolutely destroy the environment chasing a buck, and how many long decades it takes to clean up the mess later. Every carefully planted saxaul plant sitting in the dirt, any baby fish raised in a tank, and every saved fresh drop works like a confident step heading toward upcoming prosperity. And even if there are long decades of grinding work still sitting out in front of them, a massive foundation for a bright future life has already been permanently and solidly set in stone. During the final line under our deep dive history lesson, you'd gotta say with zero doubts that Kazakhstan threw down some truly titanic work when it comes to bringing its own piece of the Aral water body back to life. From the moment they realised staring at the horrifying big picture, all the way up to getting that epic dam put together, it was an insanely grim and tough road to walk. As of right now, the resurrected sea is successfully running again, taking even breaths and regularly hooking up its neighbours with rewards. The environment is slowly shrinking its old scars with the hardcore backing of folks who actually care. Make sure to hit subscribe on our channel and drop your deep thoughts in the comments about everything we just talked about.